Hello friends, this is your astrologer Punit Pandey once again with another video for astrosage.com. Today in this video I want to talk about something very important, and the topic of today is Nadi Astrology. There is a lot of mess created around this term Nadi Astrology. Somebody will say that this is a system of astrology, a system which is based on transit. Somebody else will say no, this is an astrological system, but it is based on stellar astrology, that is the nakshatras. Some other will say, especially the people from South India, that this is an astrology based on the thumbprint. Then another one will come, no, any astrology that uses palm leaf, that is Nadi astrology. So there is too much confusion, and I'll explain you what exactly is Nadi astrology. This is important for everyone, especially astrology student, because they need to understand the definition of every concept. Okay, so before that I want to talk about the story of blind man and elephant. You would have heard about that story, and if not, let me explain you, let me tell you. 6 blind men, they were asked to go and check how exactly does elephant look like. So because they could not see, so they used their power of touching, and then they decided how exactly elephant look like. The first blind man who touched the leg of the elephant, he said that, and he explained that elephant looks like a pillar. Elephant is exactly looks like a pillar. The other one who touched the tail of the elephant, he said that elephant looks like rope. So for him elephant was a rope, and for the first one it was a pillar. So that is interesting. So the one who touched the trunk of the elephant, he said that it is a tree branch. So for him who touched the trunk, for him elephant was like a tree branch. And the one who touched the ear of the elephant, he said, for me elephant looks like a fan, like a hand fan. So for him elephant was nothing but a hand fan. And the one who touched the belly of the elephant, he said that elephant is like a wall. And for the one who touched the tusk of the elephant, he said that elephant is like a pipe. And obviously, because they are seeing part of the elephant, they are touching part of the elephant, there was a fight. One would say, no, it was pipe, it was like a pipe, I have seen it. The other one will say, no, it is like a rope, I know it, I have felt it, it is my direct experience. This is the state of astrologers and astrology students nowadays. For them, Nadi astrology is all these parts. Nobody wants to see the whole picture. Now the story is complete, and now you understand what is the mess around it. Let me tell you what exactly is Nadi astrology. Nadi astrology, and this is very important, Nadi astrology is a process, astrological process. And when I say process, it comprises quite a few things. First, it comprises few systems. So Nadi astrology can use few systems, and it is up to the Nadi astrology to decide for particular Nadi which system to use. Nadi astrology also comprises 3 roles. 1, the Nadi Writer. Nadi Writer is the one who writes Nadi, and this Nadi Writer writes Nadi in advance. It is like batch process. He writes prediction for hundreds of horoscope or for hundreds of people. He writes this bunch of predictions, and then because he writes large number of predictions, he also needs some technique to index. So the Nadi writer also uses a indexing technique, which is also part of this astrological process. Once the Nadi is written based on certain systems using certain indexing technique, Nadi reader reads it in front of the client who is visiting him. So the three roles are Nadi writer, who is writing the prediction, and then Nadi reader, who actually reads it when the client visited him. And apart from the system and these three roles, there is the indexing techniques involved, so that Nadi reader can search the Nadi. So there are hundreds or thousands or millions of predictions written, and Nadi reader needs to find out the exact prediction for the client, and for that he needs to use that indexing technique. So this astrological process, which is where few systems of astrology involved, Nadi reader, Nadi writer and the client involved, three roles, and one indexing technique to index. This exactly is called Nadi astrology. So we talked about the three roles, we now talked about the system, and now let me explain you what exactly is this indexing technique. Nadi astrology uses different indexing techniques, and it is up to Nadi writer or the one who is writing to decide which indexing technique he has to use. One Nadi writer may use thumb impression as an indexing technique. So he knows how to use the thumb impression to categorize and classify those lots of predictions that he has written. So he used thumb impression for that. There are some other Nadis, they will use Nadi Ansh, also called Nadi Ansha. So this Nadi Ansh, these are 150 division of a sign, very minute division, and that Nadi Amsha or Nadi Ansh is used to define and classify that large number of predictions which has been written. Some other Nadi astrologers do also use the size of the shadow or different techniques. For example, Chandrakala Nadi you will find using Nadi Ansh, and lots of other Nadis as well. So some other Nadis will use thumbprint. For example, Agastya Nadi, they will use thumbprint. Then there are certain other Nadis like Bhrigu Nadi, it uses the year or the chronological transit order for indexing. So this was the last part of the definition of astrological process, which is called Nadi astrology. Nadi astrology comprises some systems of astrology, three roles: Nadi writer, Nadi reader and the client, and finally an indexing technique. In the last 100 years, there came many astrologers who did not understand this definition, this very definition of Nadi astrology. And then they created, or I would say they started creating mess around this astrological process. They started calling their system, or what they found from Nadi astrology, the system they found from Nadi astrology, as the Nadi astrology itself, which is technically incorrect. You cannot call a system Nadi astrology, because Nadi astrology is not a system, it is a process. a system is part of Nadi astrology. So you can say that I use principles of Chandrakala Nadi. Both the terms are important. Principal word is important, and the principle of which Nadi, which tree of Nadi you are using. Both things are important. So you can say I use principles of Chandrakala Nadi. I use principles of Dhruv Nadi in my prediction. For example, Satya Jatakam is a text which talks about what are the principles that has been used while writing Dhruv Nadi. So Satya Jatakam or Jatak Satyachar, it is also called Jatak Satyachar, is telling you the principles that has been used in Dhruv Nadi. But it cannot be called, any system cannot be called Nadi astrology, which is, as I said, technically incorrect. For something to be called Nadi astrology, there needs to be few systems, few indexing processes, at least one indexing processes, and 3 roles: Nadi Writer, Nadi Reader, and the client. And Nadi Writer writing predictions in advance as a batch process. Then only it can be called Nadi astrology. So Nadi astrology uses astrological system, uses indexing technique, uses certain roles. Certain roles are part of Nadi astrology, but individually this cannot be called Nadi astrology. So that is the reason I told you the story of 6 blind men and the elephant. Nowadays, the astrologers, astrology students now becoming part of that thing, that they think that individual thing, the system, the process, the thumb impression, the palm leaf, that is exactly Nadi astrology, which is not. So now I hope you understand what exactly is Nadi astrology. Now I hope that people, when they will tell that my system is Nadi astrology, you will ask that no, there is no Nadi writer involved. You are not teaching the indexing technique, how to write those batch processes. Then it cannot be called Nadi astrology. Now, before I close, I want to highlight for the genuine seeker who want to get their horoscope read through a Nadi astrologer, that there is also something called Mantra Nadi. And this Mantra Nadi is something which use some siddhis, some negative siddhis, some low level siddhis, some low level power, psychic power I can say, for predicting. So they will be able to tell you the past and the present very accurately. But those Mantra Nadi cannot tell you the future precisely. They cannot see it because they use a lower level power which do not have the scientific or divine technique like astrology to see the future. So Mantra Nadi reader generally act or try to pretend as a Nadi reader. He'll also use your thumbprint, he'll also use the palm leaves just to act that he is like a real astrology Nadi reader, but he'll use those special powers to tell you the past and the present, which he can tell very accurately. If somebody is doing that, somebody is telling you that accurately, you need to differentiate that it may be a Mantra Nadi reader. There is very difficult, they act so much like a real Nadi reader that it is very difficult to differentiate. But this is my duty to warn you and tell you that these Mantra Nadi, that is actually not a Nadi astrology. That is a low level siddhis, low level power that can just tell you the past and the present, not the future. Having said that, now I want to close this video, and I hope you will find it useful, you will find it informative. Thank you. Bye bye.